Hi, my name is Yinka Ilori and I'm a furniture designer. I was born and raised in North London. I work in East London. I studied product design and furniture at Metropolitan University in East London, and I studied that degree because I had an interest in sort of making furniture and designing. My perception of designers before I became involved in making furniture was that it was quite hard to get involved in it. There wasn't sort of a lot of opportunities and sort of people putting you in the right path of how to do it and what to do. But the Apprentice Trust, who I am now a part of, was really helpful in terms of how to get myself started and what I need to do in order to be successful. I would describe my brand as an influence from Nigeria. My mom's from Ondo State, my dad's from Ekiti State, so I'll try to blend in those two sort of, cultures into my furniture and sort of tell a story about where I'm from and what my furniture's about. The three words I use to describe my job role is designer, maker, and storyteller. What I love about most what I do is being able to design what I feel is design worthy and being able to, design furniture where that means something to me, rather than just designing, like 50 chairs that will be mass produced and there's no sort of meaning behind it. But I'm like having to take time and effort into each piece and thoroughly thinking why I've chose those colours or why I've done this to the chair or to the table. So it's nice to be able to sort of put your passion into something that you really enjoy doing, and being able to share your culture in each piece as well. Because I mean, I've got quite a few friends who don't understand where they're coming from and can't really speak their language, and it's like, I think it's really down to the parents and the kids that want to learn it. I mean, I can speak Yoruba. I taught myself to speak Yoruba because I'm passionate about where I'm from. So it's nice to be able to experience that and put that into my work. And people, like my work can hold, brings conversations. People are, oh, that's interesting. Why have you done that? And it's just nice to share my culture with other people. And that's done, through my work. So it's so great that your work can, strike a conversation about your culture. The challenges that I feel I've experienced as a designer is that I don't feel there's enough because I do furniture design, I don't think there's enough furniture design. I don't know of any other designers that who are African who do what I do as well. And they're not sort of promoted well enough as well. So it's really hard where you're sort of on your own and you're in a particular path and you can't share it with someone else because not a lot of people understand why the print, for example, is only now it's becoming quite popular now. It's okay to use it now, whereas years ago it wasn't really, it wasn't cool to be seen in the print, or it wasn't cool to be African, But now it's like I feel like there's obviously a lot of designers coming up and coming, but I just don't feel there's no sort of not really gelling together, and there's just not a lot of sort of collaborations amongst African designers. And I just feel like we need more of that to sort of push the work a lot more, and just we need a lot of collaborations. I mean, I'm speaking to a guy in Nigeria at the moment now, and he is a product designer, and we're thinking of doing some collaboration work together fairly soon. And it's nice that someone can contact you and see your work online, and be like, oh, I like your work, let's do something together. And we need more of that. That's what we need more of, because there's just not enough of that, I don't think. I have 3 chairs here. This one's called Oba King. This one's called Ewa, which is beauty. This one's called the Jofagba, which is big man's chair. So my work's really these 2 pieces here are really inspired by like Nigerians are very sort of flamboyant. They like to show off their culture and their jewellery, and women like the gilly. When my mum, she's always going out. It's really done high, and she always wants it to look good. So this piece here is mainly inspired from sort of like, look at me, I'm like the leg here. This chair that we're highlighting here, the yellow here highlights. Look at me, I'm rich. I'm I'm flamboyant. I'm better than you. That sort of idea there. So I've always been interested in how Nigerians, when they go to parties, they really do the jewellery, the shoes to match, and fashion is really a big thing for Africans, and like social life when going out. So I wanted to put that into these 2 pieces here, and it's just basically expressing sort of like your culture and hierarchy and status, and why is that foot there yellow? It's to do with status work. Yeah. And this chair here is basically sort of a cross between my culture and where I was born. So this is the original fabric from the chair when it was sort of found, and the fabric I used here is an Ankara fabric, and I've wanted to sort of play around with the 2 fabrics together and sort of cultures together, and just sort of intertwining together, and understand that this is where I was raised, and this is where my culture, this is my culture, this is what I'm about. So it's just nice to sort of play with the two together, and that's what my art's about. Well, that's what some of it's about, just sort of culture and status and hierarchy, and just sort of playing with things that are important, but sort of making it humorous. At the moment, I'm mainly design chairs and tables. I want to start doing like bigger stuff, things like wardrobes maybe, and like chest of drawers. That would be next year. I'll be sort of doing really big work. But at the moment now, it's just chairs and tables. How I would describe the African design industry at the moment now would be that I feel like it's at a stage where it's growing, and people are becoming a lot more aware of African designers, and we're getting that respect now. There's lots of sort of different platforms, like like exhibitions that we're doing now, and boutiques that are opening up. Like for example, Samson Savoy's boutique in Shoreditch, which is like really promoting like young designers and African designers, which is really good. And also there's an initiation called AACDD, who also like it's basically for Black African designers, Afro-Caribbean designers, from every discipline, from like fashion to photography to furniture, and they promote like Black designers. And I feel we're on a rise. It's definitely on a rise, and it's going to be a big rise in the years to come. The perception of people and how they sort of view the African design industry is that it's interesting. I feel like some people still don't understand the work. What I would say is different with new designers compared to the old designers is that the way they think now is a lot more different. Whereas years ago they always had to sort of work with a certain design and a thinking process of how to make furniture. Like it's really traditional. But now it's like it's a lot more different. Like how I work is I don't sketch anything. I sort of sketch in my head and deconstruct the sort of furniture in my head. And I don't like to sort of sketch anything because I feel like it's not natural. So I feel like where am I in the studio now, and I can sort of sit on my table and get the chair or table and basically break it into pieces and know that I want this chair to be on the back of a table or on top of the table, and why I'm doing that. So years ago that wouldn't have been done. Like you always have to sort of have like a plan of what you're doing. But now there's not that plan. It's like, for example, you've got like different sort of machinery. You've got 3D, you've got 3D machines, you've got laser cutters, you've got waterjet cutters. So years ago it's really traditional, really sort of hands-on. But now you've got a lot of machinery to sort of to sort of do that for you, which is a lot different. So I think in terms of machinery-wise and how you make things is from now, it's now machinery. And years ago it was hands-on. If a designer knows they want to be a fine artist or a product designer or any sort of designer, I think it's really recommended they should do a course in sort of art and design for like 1 year. Because initially I was into fine art and I was always enjoyed painting, and I thought, okay, I'll do a degree in fine art. But then I did a 1 year BTEC in art and design, and I basically like touched different disciplines from like product design, furniture design, fine art, and did the whole sort of spectrum. And then discovered that no, I want to be a designer, a furniture designer. I like to sort of I'm hands-on. My advice to any up-and-coming furniture designer would be to be patient and to persevere, because nothing's going to happen overnight. It's a process, and you need to understand that in order to get to A to B, you need to put the work in. Write a business plan. It's really important to write a business plan, because you may not use it, but it's a guideline for you to know what the next step is going to be, and it just gives you an idea of where you want to be in a couple from like 1 to 5 years or 5 to 10 years. What I think makes a furniture designer successful would be someone who's good with people, and someone who's really good at their craft and knows what their craft's about and know why they're doing something that way. So I think having good people skills and talent is really important. What I'd like to see change about how African design is presented would be the idea that if a design is designed by someone, they don't label it as African designer or design is design. It doesn't have to be, it's African. Like, let's just appreciate the talent and the design. I feel like there's a lot of that at the moment now where it's just always, why can't someone just be a designer? Why have you got to put where they're from on there? And I just feel like I don't like that at all, because it's been done to me before. So I want us to be sort of respected as any other big designers around the world would be respected, and not be labelled as an African designer. I'm proud to be African, but where you're from shouldn't define your talent. My overall mission for my business would be to have my own shop, maybe really want to also have a boutique as well, and like sort of work with different designers that I find interesting and that I like, work I like, and to have a collective of designers who are inspired by. And also would like to do some more workshops as well, and sort of like, you know, like teach the youth about their culture as well. So I feel like it's, you know, it's some of them don't know about where they're from and their culture and why, you know, what Nigeria's about, what Africa's about in general. So it'd be nice to sort of school them about upcycling and like how to tell stories through work, and something they could teach other of their friends or other people, and it could become something quite, you know, quite big and quite interesting. And also do some more exhibitions like maybe like in Africa or maybe mainly Nigeria, and sort of just push my work in Africa in that direction. Yeah.